How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today, we have our top 10 favorite cards from the newest set, Uprising. This is going to be a pretty spicy list with a ton of cards that obviously I really like. I think Uprising is a fantastic set, probably Flesh and Blood and Legend Story Studios' best designed set so far, so I'm really excited to talk about these cards. But before we do, a word from today's sponsor, Into the AM, and I motion this because that is actually where I got this excellent shirt from. It's actually the first time I have taken a non-card game related sponsor, and I did so for a reason. I actually think they're pretty good. When they reached out to me, I had talked to a couple of friends who had bought from them before, and they actually all had glowing reviews. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And also the stuff looks pretty snazzy. Like, look at this. Looks pretty good, right? But in all seriousness, I do have a promo code with them in the description down below for 10% off of your purchase. It's pretty good. You can pick up a shirt like this. They have a bunch of other ones too. They have, they have some anime style ones, but they also have just like a ton of other different styles, like really psychedelic looking ones and very abstract ones. They have a lot of other really cool designs. And they also have these bundles where you can like bundle like 3 shirts for like $60 and you still get that 10% discount if you use my code on top of the bundle. So definitely check all that stuff out in the description down below. But without further ado, let's get started with today's top 10 list. We'll do a little scene transfer. Look at that magic. So I kind of lied a little bit already. We do have more than 10 cards that we're going to talk about because the set is so spicy. There are so many awesome things to talk about in Uprising, and I want to get this one out of the way. The Blood of the Drakai. I think this card is just really cool, while also being very hot. That's the only time I'm going to use that joke. That's the only time I'm going to use that joke here. Blood of the Drakai is a draconic resource gem. It is the fabled card of the set. Legendary, you can only have one of them in your deck. And when you pitch the Blood of the Drakai, the next 3 draconic action cards you play this turn cost 1 less, and it also produces the one that it normally would produce because it is a red pitch card. So it kind of generates you 4 value worth of resources over 4 cards or so. It's not exactly like pitching for 4, but it kind of is. I think this card's really well designed because to make use of it, you basically need like a full grip, and they all need to cost like 1 or more so you can actually get the cost reduction. Because if you're using this, if you pitch this and then you play some like 0 cost cards, you're not getting a lot of value out of that. But I think they balanced it really well. So it's like good, but not broken. And I think it's a fantastically designed card. I really love the Blood of the Drakai. I cannot wait to play with it, especially in Droma. I think this card excels in Droma, especially as opposed to like Fi or something like that. But I think it's awesome. And the art by Steve Argyle is excellent. Next, we have Silken Form. So we're going to have some really spicy cards on this list, a lot of Majestics and Legendaries and the Fabled and all that kind of stuff. But there's also some common cards on here that I think are really awesome for multiple formats. So here we have Silken Form. I think this card is really sweet for like basically any format that it's legal in. And I think it does really cool stuff. Like it synergizes with itself, and it's just like very interesting. So it's a Draconic Illusionist equipment, arm slot, instant, destroy Silken Form, transform target Ash you control into an Aether Ashwing. And it also has Quell 1, which it says, if your hero would be dealt damage, you may pay 1 to prevent 1 of that damage. If you do, destroy Silken Form at the beginning of the end phase. So you can actually pop use the Quell ability, right? And prevent a bunch of damage over the course of a turn, 1 instance of 1 damage prevention for each source. And then before it's destroyed at the beginning of the end phase, you can use that instant ability to destroy Silken Form before it's destroyed by the Quell effect to transform an Ash into an Aether Ashwing. So this is like one of the rare pieces of equipment where you can actually like defend with it and then use its ability as well. I really like this card. I think it's very well designed. And I think it's great in Dromai. Next, I want to talk about my spoiler card, Burn Them All. And it's not just because it's my spoiler card, but it is awesome. That does make me like it a little bit more. But I think the card is just really sweet. So it's a 0 cost Draconic Illusionist action aura, blocks for 3, has Go Again. Once per turn, when a dragon you control attacks, it deals 1 arcane damage to each opposing hero. This card is great in multiplayer formats, like Ultimate Pit Fight, maybe in the eventual PvE. We'll see how that manifests. But I think this card is awesome, and I love the design space here, and I love that it hits all opposing heroes. And then also says at the beginning of your end phase, put a raise counter on Burn Them All, then destroy it unless you banish a red card from your graveyard for each raise counter on it. So it can kind of stick around for a little bit. I think this card's awesome. The art is fantastic by Riordan Del Miro. Shout out to Riordan. I don't know if you're watching this video, but I know you watch some of these. Fantastic art. It looks so awesome. So yeah, definitely have to have Burn Them All on this list. Next up, we have Tomal Thai. So this is the invoke side of Tomal Thai. I'll be completely honest. I like the effect, but I just love the art so much more. Federico Musetti, an artist that I've personally met, just a really, really nice dude, and also an amazing artist. And just check out how rad this dragon looks. It's a 5-drop, it's legendary, and transforms a chosen ash into Tomal Thai. And then Tomal Thai is this big old 5-attack, 5-health dragon that says whenever Tomal Thai attacks a hero, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If one or more of those cards are red, put that many -1 counters on an equipment the opponent controls. If it has 0 defense, destroy it. So this is great. Like if you even hit like at least one, you can blow up like their tunic. You can hit just a lot of stuff, like blow up their skull cap. There's some great stuff with this. I think Tomal Thai is fantastic. But mostly the art is just amazing. Next up, we have Dominia. So I actually really like Dominia playability-wise more than Tomal Thai, but also it just looks awesome too. Once again, Steve Argyle, man. I've also met Steve Argyle a couple times. Really, really nice dude as well. So this one, same kind of deal. It transforms an ash into Dominia. This one only costs 4, where Tomal Thai costs 5, so it's a little bit easier to play. But it's also a little bit weaker, being 4 health, 4 attack dragon. And it says, whenever Dominia attacks a hero, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a red card, look at their hand and banish a card from it. That's really good. And this is on an attack trigger, so it doesn't even have to hit. It's just like, if you can attack with this, you get to do that. And you're gonna be running this in a deck with a ton of red cards, so you just gotta take something out of their hand. That's so good. It's so good. So yeah, Dominia is fantastic. Really, really awesome dragon. Like I said, the art's awesome too. Next up, we have Chromai. We're gonna do the dragons first here. I think Chromai is one of my favorite playable dragons that you'll basically put in almost every Dromai deck. It's a 0-cost dragon that, once again, transforms an ash into Chromai. And then it says, that's Necria. Well, we'll get to Necria in just a second. Once per turn, when Chromai attacks or leaves the arena, gain an action point. Attacks for 3, has 2 health. So it costs 0 to play, and then you always get an action point. Even if they pop it, because it'll have Phantasm from those ash tokens, you'll get it because you get the point when it leaves the arena as well. So even if the attack doesn't go through, you still get the action point. So this is like the safest dragon to play, and also it just costs 0. This is like a staple. Love this card. And also the art, it's like this metallic dragon. It's really cool. I dig it quite a bit. Also like Necria. Necria is the most metal of the dragons. She has got a lot of health too. So Necria is a 3-drop, transform an ash into Necria. And what does Necria do? Necria, I think, is probably one of the most flavorful ones. It says, whenever Necria deals or is dealt damage, put a -1 counter on her, then create an ash token, which is awesome. So basically the flavor here is that she's taking damage and then bits of her are falling off and becoming ash. It's so cool. I love the flavor. I love the art. And also she's like a 4/7, just 7 health. This is a chunky dragon. So really, really like Necria. Yeah, not much else to say. Metal as hell. Next up, we have a common card, a very innocuous card, but I think this card is fantastic, and I just love what it does. So this is Rake the Embers. It is a 1-drop. We're just going to talk about the red version here, but the other ones are good too. It says create an ash token, then transform up to 3 ash you control into Aether Ashwings, and it has Go Again. So I love this card for multiple reasons, right? So the red version will also give all of your dragons Go Again with the Storm of Sandakai weapon that Dromai uses, because whenever you play a red card, your dragons will have Go Again until the end of turn. So you can play this, give all your dragons Go Again, and then transform up to 3 of your ash into dragons. So this card single-handedly like makes you an army. It's like an army in a can kind of card. And I also think the blue and the yellow versions are great as well. They do the same thing, but only transform 2 and 1 Ash, but they're still really, really good. The only downside, I guess, is that it blocks for 2, but it's still super good. So absolute staple for Dromai. Really cool card, really, really cool art too. Next up, we have Heatwave, another common card. I really love the art on this card. Soyame does such a fantastic job. In fact, her art is so good. I reach out to her every single new set and I ask her if she does artist proof sketches, and I always pick some up because she does amazing work and the sketches are absolutely fantastic. So Heatwave is a Draconic Ninja equipment. It says instant, destroy Heatwave. Phoenix flames you control gain +1 until end of turn. And it also has that Quell ability. I really, really love that Phoenix Flame pump because you can push a lot of damage through playing those Phoenix Flames and then recurring the Phoenix Flames and then playing them again. It's kind of like this cool wombo combo type thing. And I think this is a really, really fun card, depending on if you're playing it or playing against it in formats like Commoner. Is this going to see play in like constructed formats like Blitz and CC? I don't know. Is it going to see play in formats like Commoner? Yes. Yes, it will. And I really, really like it. Love the art. Love the effect. This is just a sweet card. And, you know, it might see some play here and there. Quell is a good mechanic. Next we have Phoenix Form. Got our boy Phi here just channeling the Phoenix. And this card has the 3 best words in any card game. Draw a card. So this is a 0-drop, 3 attack, Draconic Ninja attack action, blocks for 3. If you control 1 or more Phoenix Flames, Phoenix Form has Go Again. If you control 2 or more, it has +2. If you control 3 or more, it has, when this hits a hero, draw 3 cards. If your opponent is letting you draw 3 cards from your Phoenix Form, you're eating good. Like, this is going to be a painful turn, especially when you combine it with something like the Heatwave to give all those little Phoenix Forms, or the Phoenix Flames you have, +1, so they're all coming in for 2. Really, really solid card. I mean, at the base level, like a 0 for 3 with Go Again's fine. 0 for 5 with Go Again is really good. And then you have Magical Christmas Land. You can maybe draw 3 cards. I love this card. I love how versatile it is. And at the base level, like 0 for 3 is like fine, but 0 for 5 with Go Again, it's quite good. Next we have Tome of Firebrand. I think this card is, I don't want to say busted, but holy crap, this card puts in work. So this is a 1-drop Draconic instant with awesome looking art by Mateusz Wisniewski. I apologize, man. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Mateusz. Really, really awesome artwork. And it says, play Tome of Firebrand only if you control 4 or more Draconic chain links. Draw 2 cards, and it's an instant. This card is sweet. Once again, I like drawing some cards, and this card lets you draw 2 cards. It's a kind of a win more card, right? Because you can only play this if you control 4 or more Draconic chain links. It doesn't block at all. It only pitches for red, which in some of these decks is really good, but I think this card is sweet. Just being able to draw those cards, and it's so good, especially like when you combine it with something like the gem that we talked about earlier, the Blood of the Drakai, or just with any number of other things. Like, for example, the Aether Ashwings do count as Draconic chain links, so this would be really good in that situation as well. Just a fantastic card. Next up, we have Aether Hail. So this is another card that's like not super spicy because it's not a Majestic or a Legendary, but this card is so good. It puts in so much work. This is one of my favorite cards to draft in Limited. I love playing Icelander in draft, and the blue Aether Hail specifically is so good. Premium draft card. So it's just a simple 1-drop Ice Wizard action, blocks for 3, deal 2 arcane damage to any target. And you're like, oh, that doesn't seem that great. Well, 1, it's an ice card, so you can use it for Ice Fusion. 2, it's a blue card, so you can play it from your arsenal at instant speed on your opponent's turn. 3, you generate a Frostbite token because it is an ice card played on your opponent's turn. And 4, because it only costs 1 to play, if you pitched a blue card to play it, you can immediately follow it up with Waning Moon for another 3 damage. So this plus a blue card equals 5 arcane damage and a Frostbite token at instant speed on your opponent's turn. It's really good. It's really good in both Limited and Constructed. I love Aether Hail. It's just a common card, but it is the real deal. And also the art is gorgeous. Like, I love this card. This card's so good. Next we have a little bit of a spicier card. We have Cornet Peak. Once again, Soime. Absolutely fantastic artwork. I love the design space for this card. So it's just an ice equipment. It's a headpiece, blocks for 2, has blade break, so it's destroyed when the chain closes. But it says action, 3 resources, target hero discards a card unless they pay 1, which basically means get a card out of your hand. Just get it out of your hand. And why that's so good is, for example, for Icelander, on your turn, you can activate this ability, force your opponent to discard a card, and then, pass your turn, arsenal a card, and then on their turn, you can do stuff like play that Aether Hail, and then follow it up with your Waning Moon, and they will have 1 less card in their hand to interact with you because you already ripped a card out of their hand with Cornet Peak. Either way, you're gonna get a card out of their hand, or they're gonna have to crack something like, an energy potion or their tunic to get around this effect. And you can do this every turn. So, forcing them to use something like that or getting a card out of their hand is really good. So I think this card is sweet. This card is sweet. Also, it's just so beautiful. So this is like a complete package kind of deal. Next up, oh dude, I love this card. Ghostly Touch. This card is awesome. And I know I keep talking about the artist, and I'm going to keep talking about the artist. Daria Klebnikova is one of my favorite Flesh and Blood artists. Another artist that I have artist proofs of her stuff. And this card is so cool. I love it. I love the design space. I don't know how good it is. I really want to play it, but it's so cool. So it says, whenever an illusionist attack you control is destroyed by Phantasm, put a haunt counter on Ghostly Touch. Once per turn action, remove a haunt counter from Ghostly Touch. Until end of turn, this becomes an illusionist ally with Phantasm, base attack and health equal to the number of haunt counters on it, and once per turn action for 3 attack, go again. I think of this as kind of like insurance, right? So if you're running up against a deck that just keeps popping your Phantasms, and that's just an attack you control, so this applies to the dragons too, the dragons that have Phantasm, not just attack action cards. So that's also really important to note. So this will trigger if they pop your like Aether Ashwings, for example. It can be really big and just come in for like this awesome like ghostly punch. I think this card's super sweet. Just you have to keep in mind that every time you activate it, you have to remove a haunt counter from it. So you need at least 2 on there to make it into like a 1/1. But if you can stack it up to like 6 or 7 or something like that over the course of a long CC game, this could be sick. This could be sick. Yeah, really, really like this card. Next up, we have Alluvion Constellus, another legendary. I also really like the design space and the flavor of this card. So do I think this card is powerful? I don't know. It's kind of like that Ghostly Touch, right? Like it might be powerful. It sounds powerful, but in practice, I don't know yet. Same with the Alluvion Constellus. I think it's good in certain situations. So it says, the first time Alluvion Constellus prevents arcane damage each turn, if it has less than 4 energy counters, you may put an energy counter on it. It also has Arcane Barrier 1, so it can use the Arcane Barrier to prevent the arcane damage. Instant, remove 2 energy counters from Alluvion Constellus. The next staff ability you activate this turn costs 3 less. And so that's basically makes any staff in the game right now free. So you got your like Kraken's Aether Vein or your Waning Moon. Good stuff here. And it just makes it free. So this is just value. What decks is this good against? Basically any deck that runs arcane damage, or at least consistent arcane damage, and where you can kind of stack up the counters here and then just kind of like pop off with a staff activation. So yeah, I really like this card. It's, like I said, only good against arcane damage dealing classes. It literally does nothing against the other ones, but in those situations, I think it's cool. It's a really cool like anti-wizard tech kind of card. Also just eats those like rune chant tokens and turns them into counters, which is really cool. Next up, we have another legendary, the Crown of Providence. This card's awesome. This is like a contender for a replacement for Arcanite Skullcap, sort of. It depends. So, it is a generic head equipment, has Blade Break, and blocks for 2, so you can only block with it once. And it says, when you defend with Crown of Providence, you may put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. So this, if you do this from arsenal, you can literally have a 5-card hand, which is super nice, especially for some classes. Or otherwise, it's like a filter, right? You can take a card from your hand, put on your bottom of your deck, and then draw a card. But from arsenal, oh, it's so sweet. I really, really like this card. So like basically you have to think, do you want the Skullcap to get you that extra 1 point of block, or is the extra card gonna be worth it, or the filter gonna be worth it. I really like this card. I think it's a more interesting effect than Arcanite Skullcap, because I think Arcanite Skullcap is probably one of the most boring cards in the entire game. It's a great card, but it's also just kind of boring. It just blocks, right? This one has a cool effect. So I really like Crown of Providence. I'm definitely gonna be playing around with it. Not much else to say. Also, the art looks rad too. So let's talk about Vipox. So Vipox is my kind of card. So it's a kind of janky, but also is just rad. Like, so yeah, so here's Vipox. It is a 0-drop, 1 attack, generic attack action that blocks for 3. It just says when Vipox hits a hero, they lose life equal to the number of cards in their hand. So Vipox is a card that's just like a 0 for 1, but it really incentivizes your opponent to block it. It's just like, you gotta block this or you're gonna eat a lot of damage. Or you can block with cards from your hand to make the damage less if your opponent somehow like pumps up a Vipox, like, you know, Nimblism into Vipox is kind of hilarious. I like this card. I like it a lot. I think it's hilarious in heroes like Benji, where it's basically like unblockable. So it forces them to block with their equipment. Yeah, I love this card. I love everything about it. The art's awesome. The flavor text is awesome. Only fools resort to force. The spider. Not much else to say. Vipox is rad. And that takes us back to the top of the show with the Blood of Drakai. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know, everyone, what your favorite cards from Uprising are in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my link with Into the AM for 10% off of your order. And then also they have those bundles and all that rad stuff as well. Greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time for some more card game content. See you later, everyone.